Okay, so our topic for today is first response. First response is how we act in a life-threatening situation, be it an accident, a heat stroke, an earthquake, somebody drowning, somebody cutting a hand back at home fatally, a child falling, any fatality, any accident which could lead to a fatality. And yes, we have a limited population of doctors in our country, and first response is perhaps extremely critical to people who need it. It could be a matter of life and death. So today we have with us to talk about this a very dear alumni from St. Michael's Convent School, Dr. Imran Raza. He's a graduate from Dow Medical College. He is the president of FRIP, a first response organization, which we will be talking about at length. And he is an aspiring pulmonologist. Hi, Imran. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
Very nice to have you. Thank you so much. And I was taking tips from Imran. Okay, Imran, fill me in with, what is first response and, give me the medical jargon. So thank you for that. And with Imran, we have Vania Saqib. Vania is pursuing her medicine, and she is the Media and Public Relations Coordinator at FRIP. Hello, Vania.
Hello.
So, Vania, welcome to our podcast, and thank you so much, both of you, for highlighting this and pursuing this, and in fact, being visionaries, a part of the this whole let's say this your quest for developing first aid response. I won't say first aid necessarily, first response. So to cut it short, Imran, tell me about FRIP.
So in a nutshell, ma'am, just to elaborate on your question and your statement कि first aid और first response क्या होता है. So just for the general population, first aid और first response में ये फ़र्क होता है कि first response हम वहाँ पे यूज़ करते हैं जहाँ पर life threatening emergency आ जाए. जैसे for example आप किचन में काम कर रहे हो और आपका हाथ कट जाता है थोड़ा सा, तो वहाँ पर अगर आप पट्टी करोगे तो that will come under first aid. ठीक है. And first response comes under a situation कि जैसे कोई accident हो गया और what you named कि drowning हो सकती है, choking हो सकती है, heat stroke हो सकता है, heart attack हो सकता है. So in a nutshell, what FRIP is an NGO that is registered by the Sindh government, and we teach first response knowledge to anyone in Pakistan जो भी सीखना चाहे. Even we have had international webinars as well, but mostly हमारी जितनी भी workshops होती हैं, they are free of cost. कोई भी educational institute हो, कोई company हो, कोई factory हो, या इवन हम खुद भी होस्ट करते हैं कुछ वर्कशॉप्स फॉर द जनरल पॉपुलेशन कि कोई भी चाहता है फर्स्ट रिस्पांस नॉलेज हासिल करना, वो आके हासिल कर सकता है. वाई वॉज इट इम्पॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज नॉर्मली हमारे पास पाकिस्तान में वी हैव नो डेटा, बट अकॉर्डिंग टू द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का डाटा कि आउट ऑफ हॉस्पिटल कार्डिक अरेस्ट होता है. कार्डिक अरेस्ट इज़ जब आपका दिल काम करना बंद हो जाता है और आपकी एट द मोमेंट डेथ हो जाती है. बहुत बार आपने सुना होगा किसी की डेथ हो गई जस्ट बाय के गिर गया एकदम से और डेथ हो गई. सो दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंस इन कार्डिक अरेस्ट. बट कार्डिक अरेस्ट इज़ प्रिवेंटेबल. अगर आप उस वक्त कुछ स्टेप्स लो जो फर्स्ट रिस्पांस के अंदर हम सिखाते हैं, CPR होता है उसके अंदर और चीज़ें होती हैं, एंड अगर आप वो सही से करो तो आपके चांसेस टू सेव अ पर्सनस लाइफ दे इंक्रीज बाय अबाउट 2 or 3 times. 200 to 300% चांस बढ़ जाता है. सो आउट ऑफ हॉस्पिटल कार्डिक अरेस्ट अगर हम बाहर का इंटरनेशनल डेटा लें तो अबाउट 9 people डाई आउट ऑफ 10 किसी को अगर होता है. बट अगेन दैट नंबर कैन बी डिक्रीज्ड. सेम नंबर जो है वो पाकिस्तान में भी होगा या इवन ज़्यादा होगा. सो इफ़ वी एक्ट ऑन इट टू प्रिवेंट इट, तो वी थिंक वी कैन मेक अ डिफरेंस, एंड दैट इज़ ऑल द जिस्ट ऑफ इट कि हम चाहते हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक कि हम इंफॉर्मेशन आगे पहुँचाएँ.
Okay. Imran, while you were talking, I was wondering that, see, life-threatening situations, as you put it out, how cardiac arrest can be curtailed. And अभी जब हम behind the scenes बात कर रहे थे तो you said little things कि अगर किसी का accident हो गया है तो उसको सर से पकड़ना है या उसे कैसे पकड़ना है, little things that matter, which, like, layman's, or ordinary or the general population is unaware of. So I'm like, I'm curious, it's quite a quest, and like you mentioned, FRIP it's a registered NGO, and you must have started off somewhere. So I'm curious कि ये vision, मतलब ये story कहाँ से शुरू हुई, and how did you feel the need to, to do this? Because clearly there is this need, and it's a sensitive issue. And so yeah, tell me the story.
The story is very simple actually. कि अब हम तो बहुत टाइम बाद आ रहे हैं आफ्टर फ्रिप हैज़ ग्रोन सो इमेंसली, बट ऑल ऑफ इट स्टार्टेड इन 2010. 2010 में यू मे रिमेंबर CID ऑफिस में कराची के अंदर एक बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुआ था इन द मंथ ऑफ नवंबर आई गेस. तो वहाँ पर अ फ्यू ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम डाउ मेडिकल कॉलेज जो 2-3 हमारे फाउंडर्स हैं, एंड वो वहाँ पर गए थे टू हेल्प पीपल आउट. और जब उन्होंने देखा कि किस तरह से लोगों को या कैजुअलिटीज़ जो थी उनको मिस हैंडल किया जा रहा था, जिस तरह इवन एम्बुलेंसेस का जो स्टाफ था वो ट्रेंड नहीं था, जिस तरह से वो उनको उठा के एम्बुलेंसेस में डाल रहे थे वो उल्टा और लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग बना रहे थे उनकी. मे बी शायद उनको जो चोट लगी हुई थी वो उस वक्त लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग नहीं होगी, और जिस तरह वो हैंडल हुए और लेके गए उसके बाद बहुत सी डेथ्स हो गई. तो उस पर दे पॉन्डर्ड ओवर दिस आइडिया कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं. दे वर इंटरेस्टेड इन फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स एंड एमरजेंसी मेडिसिन, बट ये जो टर्म था वो इतना ज़्यादा पॉपुलर नहीं था इन पाकिस्तान उस वक्त, फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स. तो दे स्टार्टेड दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कि हम काम करते हैं, हम लोगों को ये इन्फॉर्मेशन पहुंचाते हैं, फर्स्ट टू मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स, टू डॉक्टर्स या प्रैक्टिशनर्स. उनको पता हो कि किस तरह हैंडल करना है, बिकॉज बहुत से डॉक्टर्स को भी नहीं पता होता. वेरी क्लियरली सेइंग दिस. तो फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स इज़ समथिंग दैट डॉक्टर्स शुड नो और मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स शुड नो, बट हमें भी सही से नहीं पता होता है. आफ्टर वी जॉइंट दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हमने बहुत चीज़ें सीखी कि ये इस चीज़ को इस तरह हैंडल करना चाहिए, इस चीज़ में ये करना चाहिए. तो उनको ये हुआ कि हमने ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टार्ट करनी है, एंड दे स्टार्टेड हैविंग दीज वर्कशॉप्स जो बहुत सिंपली स्टार्ट हुई. एक वर्कशॉप हुई एक टाइम पे, उन्होंने करिकुलम डिज़ाइन किया कि हमें क्या क्या चीज़ें सिखानी चाहिए, जो फिर एक्सपैंड हुआ. एंड बाय 2012 दे हैड द स्टेटस ऑफ एन NGO. So now it's been more than I think 13 years. So now we are here. हम उस चीज़ को आगे.
It almost sunk my heart when you said doctors को भी नहीं पता होता first क्या करना होता है. But then when I was really actually putting it in a practical situation. Like doctors work in hospitals with equipments and like a whole like operational setup, and to actually take care of an injury which is life threatening out on the road, like beneath the crumble of heap of an earthquake, obviously the modalities look different. So no, it's truly impressive, like more power and more duas on the way for the founders, and I'm sure it must have been challenging to be motivated enough to set out a first response organization, generate a vision. So why do you of course, and we've discussed it. So Imran, is it challenging, now abhi to hum podcast kar rahe hain, is it challenging for you and your organization members to actually teach the masses about first response? How is that for the organization?
Challenges are enormous for us. Firstly, because the team that runs the organization mostly are medical students. हम सारे students हैं. This is student run NGO. Status is an NGO, but सारे students हैं. And सब ज़्यादातर medical students हैं actually. So to manage our own time and then taking out time for this organization, it's difficult. But we do it because we believe in this idea कि हमें ये चीज़ करनी है और इसको आगे लेके जाना है. उसके अलावा challenges are enormous. एक तो सबसे पहली problem is कि awareness नहीं है. लोगों को नहीं पता है अभी भी कि first response क्या होता है, किस तरह से handle करना होता है. So if we go reach out to someone, they don't understand the importance, and we get it. शायद सामने वाले को नहीं उसकी importance उतनी feel होती है जितनी हमें feel होती है, because we have been through stuff, we have seen stuff, we have reacted to situations, हमने encounter की हैं, फिर हमने पढ़ाया है, तो we know. But एक normal बंदे को नहीं पता होगा कि इसकी importance क्या है. तो awareness की lack है. दूसरी चीज़ें that we face is the lack of any government funding. हमें कोई government institute या organization fund नहीं करती है. To have all of those fundings or different तरीके से donations लेना, to accumulate them, to accumulate any kind of sponsorship that comes our way. It's very difficult to reach out, and as students it is more difficult. We don't have any, हम medical students हैं, हमें ना marketing का पता है ना business का पता है, so that becomes a challenge for us. But we still try and we actually again every year it's very impressive कि हम इसको और expand कर रहे हैं.
I feel I would disagree here with Imran here. I think as medical students, I can only imagine the kind of study load you students have and you doctors have, and how Vania has been very persistent on a podcast, and how Imran has like always pursued. I think we were having a school event which was a grand mela, and we had a footfall of over 6,000 consumers for 2 days, and yes, he offered the services absolutely free of charge, and we were really taken. And even though I feel like, you know, having a first response stall or representation एक्चुअली तो यू नो लाइक शायद उसकी अहमियत नहीं होती, बट खुदा ना खास्ता कुछ हो गया, देन इट इज़ लिटरली लाइफ सेविंग, एंड देन इट्स रियली प्राइसलेस. सो hats off to that, and we'll just come to how you fund your equipment and how you manage your modalities. But I'm curious to speaking to Vania, and Vania, you being like, you know, you're like coordinating for media and public relations, and like Imran said, there's little awareness. Like, you know, it's like it's abhi ye concept thoda aam hai. I think मैं BTS में 10 दफ़ा इमरान से पूछी थी, अच्छा first aid, first response, you know, I was struggling with the concept. So how has your experience been when it comes to teaching the masses? How has it been for you?
To be honest, it has been, I would say, an enlightening experience of sorts. अगर हम थोड़ा सा देखा जाए at the start, you know, you do have a little bit of reservations कि how everybody is going to react to that, how people are going to feel about that. But this is something that is extremely personal to me कि हम लोग workshops पे जाते हैं, लोगों को सिखाते हैं, and we meet all sorts of people. We meet students from grade 1 to grade 11. We meet people who are working white collar jobs in corporate sector. We meet people who are, you know, basically like जैसे कि टीचर्स होती हैं, स्टाफ वगैरह होता है, इस तरह करके from education institutions. We meet people who are also medical students, who are our seniors perhaps. Okay. And then the level of respect you get from them. Really? Okay. That, you know, that we are doing this noble cause. जैसे आपने बैठ के यहाँ पे हमारी बहुत तारीफ की. So thank you so much for that. Like, just like that, when people see us working, when people actually experience what we teach. So, you know, our teaching is not just theoretical. We also have hands-on practice for everything that we do. Like, for example, CPR के लिए we have our mannequins. We take them to every workshop. We actually teach people how to do CPR. इसके अलावा, like, you know, there are things like someone has a fracture, a life-threatening bleeding, or like someone's choking. So even for things like that, we have demonstrations. So when people actually do it themselves, they realize कि इसकी कितनी ज़्यादा अहमियत है.
And I feel like, you know, thank you for mentioning, it is like a life skill. Now I'm feeling, I have a FOMO feeling. I don't know first response. I'd love to learn it from both of you. Yes. And Imran has been offering it since forever. And in all honesty, yes, as organizations we're hesitant, oh, you know, abhi kya ek workshop aa gayi hai, and like, you know, abhi participants ikhatta karo, workshop karao. And like, in all honesty, however, the need is so critical. And I'm really wondering, and I'd like to ask Imran, as the president of FRIP, like, how challenging is it for you to do the modalities of it, to have the equipment, to go and commute, to, like, you know, keep your participants or your organization members motivated enough? Because आप लोग तो सारे doctors हो, ये अपने house job से आए, आप अपने classes से आए हो, and you all, like, you know, so, and you really, for yourselves, you're doing it pro bono. So how do the modalities and the funding and the sponsorships look for you?
So, ma'am, the monetary sort of the thing is that we don't receive much any sponsorships वगैरह. We have received sponsorships from pharmaceuticals like GSK, like Abbott, but it has been a while. And but what we receive sponsorship in the form of is कि हमें कोई monetary funds नहीं मिलते. Mostly we do get stuff, या funds भी आते हैं, but normally बहुत कम होता है ऐसा. But we get, जैसे कोविड के टाइम पे we did get a lot of face masks, we got a lot of ये जितनी भी शील्ड्स होती थी, फेस शील्ड्स होती थी, सैनिटाइजर्स होते थे, तो we did distribute them और हमने आगे बहुत डोनेट किया. बट नॉर्मली स्पॉन्सरशिप मॉनेटरी फंड के सॉर्ट पे कम होती है. हाउ वी रन इज़, ठीक है, वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस, वी हैव एन ऑफिस इज़ वेल जहाँ पर इट्स आवर ओन प्लेस विच वानिया विल टॉक अबाउट इन अ सेकेंड, कि वी टीच पीपल अबाउट फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स इन आवर ओन प्लेस इज़ वेल. सो वी हैव दैट प्लेस, वी हैव टू फंड द रेंट, वी हैव टू फंड ऑल द एक्सपेंसेस जो कम विद इन ऑफिस. सो द मोस्ट amount of the funds that we get या जो we have is from the founders. They donate to us, they're very generous. जो हमारे जितने भी founders हैं, हमारी advisory members हैं, वो हमें donate करते हैं, and that's how जो running जो cost हैं वो complete होती हैं.
Hats off, really.
Yeah, thank you to them again. Secondly, हमारी जो organization है उसमें register होने के लिए as an instructor you have to pay a fee. तो हमारी एक workshop होती है which we call a level 2 workshop. उसमें we charge a very nominal fee. So उससे we have a few funds and then we get a few donations as well. But that's on the side कि किसी team member ने कर दिया or any school donates or any organization donates to us. But mostly this is how it works. 3 main areas हैं. The big patch is कि जो founders donate करते हैं, बाकी we try कि हम financially independent हों और हम कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी करें जिसमें हमने अपनी merchandise sell करना शुरू कर दी है. So we have a t-shirt, we have a badge वगैरह, उसके अंदर we get funds from that as well. So monetary तौर पे ऐसे चलता है. बाकी जो leading a team and having a team of about 35 people approximately, it's difficult because to keep everyone motivated on the same page. So that's why we have different departments. On departments के अंदर we have categorized it in a sort के एक executive council है and then associates हैं. So that works in a very smooth fashion जब इस तरह से divided हो.
No, and I think like I can say that for Imran, back when he was a student, he initiated like a whole counseling realm. I think you were doing your MD Cats and how the struggle he went through, he wanted to sort of channelize that in a structured form and have the students benefit. So I feel we're very blessed with when we as humans are able to like add back to the circle of life, and thank you to your founders to have envisioned this and for them to be funding this and taking this forward. And you abhi up mentioned kar rahe the Imran that you have a structure and like and Vania is a very the important member of your structure. Vania, how does the FRIP structure look like?
Okay, so basically when we start let's say we start from the ground level. So basically what we do is that we recruit medical students, basically. Medical and dental students, MBBS and BDS students. We train them to become efficient first responders first in our level 1 workshop. And then after they have taken and passed our level 1 workshop, then they take our level 2 workshop, which Imran just mentioned. And the beauty of a level 2 workshop is that it teaches you how to become a good instructor, how to communicate with someone, how to present things to people in a way that regardless of your audience, you will be able to connect with them and make sure कि उनको आपका message जा भी रहा है और वो उसकी importance भी समझ रहे हैं. So that's our level 2 course. And after you take your level 2 course, you become an instructor at FRIP. And right now we have a team of around 600 plus instructors from almost all medical colleges and universities across Karachi. And after you become an instructor, you can apply to be a team member. And we have different departments when we talk about the team. Like the level 1 department deals primarily with level 1 students, level 2 again,
so that's
etc.
how the structure is.
And then there's just specifically when we talk about workshops, we have our education department which conducts workshops in educational institutions like schools, colleges for students, teachers, etc. And then we have a very important InDesign and Outreach department which covers a wide variety of audiences from the corporate sector to communities to welfare, etc. And then of course we have our research records and development department which basically manages everything behind the scenes, the logistics, the workshops, everything like that. And then we have our media and public relations department which deals with FRIP's image basically overall.
That's your favorite department.
Yeah.
So Vania, you mentioned students doing either further. If I want to be a first responder, मुझे training करनी है. I'm a headache of a client. I don't know anything about it. Would you make me a first responder?
Yes, definitely. We love to teach everyone actually. We get a lot of messages from people that, we want to learn first response या हमें अपने school में training करवानी है, something of that sort. So, if So like right now it's very easy for anyone to basically learn first response. All they have to do is they can just send us a message on Instagram or Facebook, or just send it on our WhatsApp or anything, any of one of our social media platforms, and one of us will reach out to them and we will guide them through it. कि अगर आपको सिर्फ खुद से अकेले वर्कशॉप लेनी है, so you can take one of our CPR training workshops which come under the title of Bano Zimmedar Pakistani.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this Bano Zimmedar Pakistani is one of it's one of your flagship programs under FRIP.
It's one of our, so basically it's one of our recently launched programs.
Okay.
We launched it at the start of the year, and as the name suggests, Bano Zimmedar Pakistani, be a responsible citizen basically, to learn first response. That you're not just helping yourself or those around you, but you can also be an asset to the society.
Okay.
So that's
interesting. And I'm curious, let's say, agar at the side, obviously I've seen you at events, I've seen you at various sporting events and belonging to the education community. You mentioned a few pharmaceuticals that you're reaching out to, and mashallah, with such a huge vision, I'm sure all organizations, be it any sector, FMCG, beverages, production, oil and gas, be it any sector or any individual, any industry, they all, it's applicable everywhere. So coming back and to what Imran mentioned, how they struggle with the sponsorships, I'm just curious to where do you plan to take this forward? What's a fusion? I have to ask you as a president, in alignment with your founders, where do you want to take this forward?
Okay, so the main idea and the goal, the long-term goal, is to create a task force. Okay. And we call it the MDTF, the Mass Disaster Task Force. The thing is कि Mass Disaster Task Force जो होगी, वो एक ऐसी फोर्स है जो पूरे पाकिस्तान में कहीं पर भी कोई लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग सिचुएशन आती है, जैसे आपने मेंशन किया, कोई अर्थक्वेक हो जाता है या हमारे पास फ्लडिंग हो जाती है या कोई भी चीज़ हो सकती है, तो कहीं ना कहीं, चाहे वो अर्बन एरिया में हो, चाहे किसी रूरल एरिया में हो, सिंध हो, बलूचिस्तान हो, पंजाब, KP के, जहाँ पर भी, तो कोई ना कोई फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर फ्रिप का वहाँ पे मौजूद हो, एंड दे गो एंड दे टेक देयर वॉट एवर इक्विपमेंट दे हैव, और इवन इफ दे डोंट, एंड वहाँ पर जाके वो रिस्पॉन्ड कर सकें. So that is the big vision, जिसके अभी हम baby steps अभी ले रहे हैं. We are just in Karachi right now, but inshallah we'll be expanding to different cities as well. And जब वो पूरा एक program launch हो जाएगा, so we'll have more workshops, we'll have a level 3 course as well, जो अभी तक हमने बहुत कम किया है limited amount में, but वो level 3 course के बाद we'll have instructors जिनके पास इतनी knowledge और इतनी skill होगी कि कोई भी situation हो जाती है वहाँ पे reach out करके help out कर सकते.
So we've the mass disaster task force. Okay, that seems to be a vision. And yes, we have so many NGOs operating in Pakistan, जो बेलॉस खिदमत करते हैं, and one of their flagship programs, Bano Zimmedar Pakistani, and it's a lot of self-responsibility and giving back to humanity. I feel it takes a heart to do that. So all the best with that. We've a very basic question which I feel I missed out in the beginning. Basically, इसकी ट्रेनिंग में होता क्या है? एक तो आपकी टूल किट कैसी लगती है? What does that have? And if I've come here for a first response training, what are you going to teach me?
ठीक है. So as Vania talked about कि बनो ज़िम्मेदार पाकिस्तानी is a simple program. आप Instagram पे गए, you messaged us, जब भी वर्कशॉप हो रही, we'll reach out to you कि हमारी एक जनरल पॉपुलेशन के लिए वर्कशॉप है, anyone can come. That workshop actually and a few other workshops happen at CORE. CORE is our office actually. It is a center on resuscitative education. This is Pakistan's first independent center where we have first response की workshops and education हम transmit करते हैं free of cost to anyone.
Okay.
ठीक है. So we have this center जो phase 2 में located in DHA. And वहाँ पर if you for example you come to a workshop or you have a workshop in your school, तो हमारा एक simple curriculum होता है that we follow. It is an replica of the American Heart Association का एक curriculum है जिसमें we teach SRCAB, Safety, Response, Circulation, Airway and Breathing. एंड ये आपको सिखाता है कि कहीं पर भी कोई भी ट्रॉमा की सिचुएशन है, कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया है रोड साइड पे, आप गए, आप गाड़ी से उतरे, आपने रीच आउट किया, तो उसमें आपको क्या करना है. सो ये बेसिक ट्रेनिंग ये होती है. साथ में वी हैव अदर टॉपिक्स एज वेल. हार्ट अटैक में आप क्या कर सकते हो, हीट स्ट्रोक पे क्या कर सकते हो, या कन्वल्जन्स हो रही हैं, या again drowning, choking, the list goes
So
on.
silly question, do you give any printouts, you give any material, or is it just like verbal training?
एक तो presentations होती हैं, ठीक है, the presenter comes on, एक media presentation हो रही है, उसके बाद hands on experience होता है with our mannequin जिस पे आपको हर चीज़ सिखाई जाएगी जो हमने presentations पे सिखाई है. And we also have a few hand pamphlets type हैं, so if the contacts ask us तो हम वो उनको distribute कर सकते हैं.
Okay. So with this, with first response and their quest to create a mass disaster task force, I feel it's quite a vision at hand. And I feel very humbled that both of you are here. And somehow, like, you know, while just talking, I mean, Pakistan is of the few countries with the largest population of young adults. Like yourselves, and you're a doctor, you're an aspiring doctor, and just really like, you know, really like just a question right from the heart. Like, do you genuinely feel like if the masses put together their energy somewhere, young adults in particular, like, you know, you feel we'll be able to create a difference?
Yeah, I definitely agree actually. And isi baat pe, I just remembered an incident that we have one of our instructors, and she was coming back. She told us that she was coming back from one of her family events, and she encountered an accident where it was a motorcycle accident, and the motorcycle hit a pedestrian, and his leg was split open, and it was bleeding a lot. And at that moment, she realized that, you know, she could handle that situation, because आप एक चीज़ जब खुद कर रहे होते हैं और फिर एक चीज़ आप लोगों को सिखा रहे होते हैं, तो वो आपके अंदर इतनी इनग्रेन हो जाती है that it becomes second nature to you. So learning that, you know, learning how to deal with situations, she said this herself, that it gave me the confidence to step up, even though, you know, there was a crowd of people, and in that situation I could step up, I could respond, and I could, you know, take charge, I could assign people tasks, etc., stuff like that. And एक चीज़ हो जाती है, उसके बाद आपको एक सेंस ऑफ फुलफिलमेंट फील होता है कि आपने कुछ किया.
Yeah, sense of fulfillment it is, I feel, absolutely. So
just to add to it, ma'am, just
please.
one thing, कि the way you asked it, कि हम difference बना सकते हैं, so tangibly या statistically maybe we won't be able to show you कि हमने कितनी lives save कर ली अब तक. If you ask us, we have trained over 30,000 people in the last 5 years. We have trained over 4,000 people with this knowledge in the last 6 months. बट अगर आप मुझसे ये पूछें कि आपने कितनी जानें बचाई हैं, सो मे बी आई डोंट हैव अ नंबर. दैट नंबर इज़ कहीं भी नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज वी ट्रेन पीपल, दे ट्रेन पीपल. आगे वर्कशॉप्स होती हैं, सो हम ये रिकॉर्ड नहीं रख सकते कि कितनी जानें बचाई हैं. बट आई थिंक दैट कॉन्फिडेंस दैट यू गेट आफ्टर अ वर्कशॉप, कम अज़ कम एक जज्बा पैदा हो जाएगा, एक कॉन्फिडेंस हो जाएगा कि मैं शायद कर सकता हूँ कुछ. That is all that matters to us. कि आप action ले सकते हो.
Absolutely. No, I feel positive energy, good intent travels. It travels. It's like quantum energy. Travels beyond time, space, and that's the whole thought of behind FRIP. I feel it's a very genuine human cause. First response, how to act in times of emergency to save lives. And our hearts out to FRIP and their cause. And as a president FRIP, I'd like Imran to just, like, you know, have what's your last take on FRIP? What would you like to close off the podcast with?
So this question was asked to me a few times पहले भी, कि one of the founders asked me कि what's your goal when I became the president, कि आप क्या सोच रहे हो इस साल या next year. So I think the main thing was कि how to equip, the question was कि how to equip every Pakistani with this knowledge. And I think we are taking steps in the right way. We are expanding, we have core now, जिस पे हम पहले for example किसी और की जगह पे जाके workshop करते थे, now we can have a workshop at our own place as well.
Okay, so you're like growing.
We are growing. So from one word, if you ask me what is FRIP, I think it's growth for me. It has been growth for me this year.
Okay.
So, and thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting us, for both of us, and for imparting this knowledge और ये awareness बढ़ाने के लिए. And I'm forever grateful to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Imran. It is always a pleasure to meet you. You're nothing but a lot of positive energy, a lot of ambition, a lot of the strive to do more and to give back more. And Vania, thank you so much for initiating this, for coordinating this. and more power to both of you and to this community. Thank you so much.